Welcome to GDs. And this is Reacher, Season 1. Season starts with two men being killed in a small town of Margrave, Georgia. The next day, we see Jack Reacher, a former Army police investigator, getting off a bus and walking towards the town. As Reacher sits at a diner to enjoy their famous pie, local police show up and they arrest him for murder. On reaching the police station, he is interrogated by Detective Finlay. Finlay informs him that they found a body early in the morning, where he was seen. Reacher tells him that he walked in the town this morning and is only visiting the town as he wants to know about a local singer, as it was once mentioned by his brother. Talking with Reacher, Finlay is not sure if he is the killer. In addition, seeing his deductive capabilities, he is quite impressed. Finlay later learns from Roscoe about Reacher's extensive military background, leading him to believe that he is indeed innocent. Finlay and Roscoe then go to Paul Hubbell's house, who is a banker, as his number was found with the body of the dead man they found. As Finlay talks with Paul, he seemed to be spooked by something, and confesses to the murder. Finlay, despite being able to figure out that he is lying about the same, is not sure why he is doing it. Thus, he sends him to the local prison, along with Reacher, hoping it might scare him. As they reach the prison, Spivey, a crooked guard, puts them in with the general population. Being in the general population, an attempt is made on their life, but Reacher had an upper hand. Paul, being frightened, tells Reacher that he got involved with a criminal organization for cover-up, and he was forced to do so, as they threatened him and his family. But Reacher was not interested in knowing his story, and asks him to stop talking. The next morning, they are released from the prison. Roscoe informs Reacher that she was able to get a video proof, confirming his story. While they decided to let Paul go, knowing he is not the killer, and hoping that he might lead them to the truth. Reacher, before leaving, goes to explore the town, and inquires about the singer, and the town, with the local barber Mosley. Being there, he gets to know that their town is heavily influenced by a local businessman Kilner. Reacher, having enough of the town, wanted to leave, but he is forced by Detective Finlay to come with them to the morgue, as they have found another body, near the site they found the first one. At the morgue, as they discuss about the murders, the coroner tells them that the recent victim had no ID. In addition, he was also not able to identify the previous body, as its fingers are swollen, and thus he was not able to get his prints. Reacher, seeing the details of the body, is able to identify it, and he tells everyone that the man they found earlier is his elder brother Joe Reacher. As they return, Reacher tells them that he is not leaving, and he will find and kill everyone who is responsible for his brother's death. Finlay, afraid what Reacher might do, asks Roscoe to keep an eye on him. Roscoe, following him, knows he is heading to Paul's house. Knowing she won't be able to stop him, she tells him that she will go with him to Paul's house. Reacher tells her that he just wants to know why he confessed to his brother's murder, and why his brother had his number. On reaching Paul's house, they learn from his wife Charlie that Paul has not returned home. She also thanked Reacher for protecting her husband in the prison. Being there, Reacher was able to figure out that in the prison, he was not the target, but it was indeed Paul. Roscoe later takes Reacher to the murder site. Reacher tells Roscoe that the killer was a professional. He also tells her that his brother was working with the Secret Service, but he is not sure what he was doing here, as they had not spoken for a while. The next morning, they learn that the police chief and his wife were gruesomely murdered. On seeing the crime scene, Reacher deduces that he was killed for not taking care of the situation, since he was not able to take care of him and Paul. In addition, the manner in which they were killed was a threat to everyone to stay in line. Reacher is not sure who he can trust in the police force. He tells Finlay that he is sure about Roscoe not being involved, as she helped him prove his innocence, but is not sure about him. But on learning that he is not being promoted to the chief of the town, and that the mayor is taking that position, he now believes that he too is not involved. Reacher tells Finlay and Roscoe that they cannot trust anyone till they know what's going on. Finlay leaves to meet the new chief, Mayor Grover Teal, while Roscoe and Reacher head towards Paul's house, knowing he is also in danger. On reaching Paul's house, they learn that Paul has not returned since yesterday, and his wife is quite worried about him. Reacher, knowing that Paul's family is in danger, asks Roscoe to stay there, while he goes to Finlay in order to get them some security. As he reaches the town hall, he sees Kleiner assuring the town that they don't need to worry. Mayor Teal orders Finlay to look into Chief's murder by going through his old arrest records. Reacher tells Finlay that he needs to do what the mayor has asked, as it will give them cover to do the real investigation. Finlay was also able to arrange a safe house for Paul's family, as his old FBI partner, Picard, agreed to keep them safe, off the books, for a few days. With Picard taking Paul's family, Reacher tells Roscoe to help out Finlay, while he goes to meet Spivey, the prison guard who set him up, hoping to get answers. But as he reaches him, he learns that Spivey set him up, and he gets ambushed by two men. But the fight is broken as the local police show up. Reacher returns to Margrave and tells Roscoe and Finlay that those who attacked him were ex-South American soldiers. Knowing this, Finlay tells Reacher that his brother, being in Secret Service, might be investigating something, which indeed got him killed. Roscoe tells them that in order to know the same, she has dropped a message at his office, and they might hopefully learn more. Reacher wanted to search Spivey's home, thinking he might get a clue there, but Finlay tells him to take rest, and assures him that he will search Spivey's home in the morning, and share with him what he finds. Reacher, wanting to go for a drink, is taken by Roscoe to a bar in the neighboring town, in order to avoid attention. Being there, they connect and talk, and also dance. On their way back, the weather forces them to stop, and they end up spending the night in a motel. Being there, Reacher opens up about his past. Reacher tells her that with his father being in the army, they had to move a lot, and his brother always protected him. Being in a new base, they got into a fight, and his brother stood by him. Later, the same boys were bullying another kid, and they stopped him, and he ended up hurting the one who was picking on the little boy, but his brother took the blame, and never allowed him to take the responsibility. But it resulted in his father being punished, as the boy whom he hit was the son of a senior officer, and he transferred his father to Germany. And before they all left the base in the US, their mother told Joe that he doesn't need to solve all the world's problem, as solving some is more than enough, while she told him that with him having the strength of 3 men, he should always do the right thing. Back in the present, as they get back in town, Roscoe finds that someone broke into her house, and they left a threat for her. Roscoe is quite angry with the same, and at Reacher's urging, she gives him a gun. She tells him that it's a special gun, as it was gifted to her by her former boss Gray, and he should use it cautiously. They later visit the coroner's office, and he was able to identify the second victim as Jobling, a longtime trucker. His record was clean, and had only 1 traffic violation, but the firm which represented him was not known to take such minor cases. They also receive a call from one of Joe's colleague, Molly Beth, at the Secret Service. As Reacher talks with her, we learn that she and Joe were seeing each other. She shares with them that she is not sure what Joe was working on, as he assigned cases to himself, but assured them that she will look into it. Though she tells them that Joe was primarily looking into large-scale counterfeiting. Knowing this, they think that Joe might be investigating counterfeiting bills being shipped into the country from South America. They decided to split up, and Finlay goes to Spivey's house. Reacher looks into the firm which represented the second victim, while Roscoe goes back to the police station in order to keep up appearances. Reacher, being at the lawyer's office, intimidates him, and was able to obtain details on Jobling's case files. While Finlay checks Spivey's house for clues. Being there, he gets beaten by the local police, as they thought he was a burglar. Roscoe gets him out, and as they sit together, Reacher tells them that Kleiner was the one who paid the fees for Jobling's case. Finlay also shares that Spivey seemed to have skipped town, but his landline had several calls from Kleiner's office. With all the roads leading to Kleiner, they visit him. Reacher, being on his premises, is quite surprised with the amount of animal feed they are having. As Finlay questions Kleiner, he tells them that he knows nothing, and suggests that they should drop the case, but Finlay gives it back to him. Reacher, knowing that they are going after wealthy and connected men, asks Roscoe and Finlay to move out of their homes temporarily. He later goes looking for Spivey, and is attacked by the ex-soldiers again. But this time, he was able to take them out. As Reacher opens their trunk, he finds Spivey's body. Roscoe, on the other hand, is confronted by KJ, Kleiner's son, who warns her about Reacher, and tells her that he was accused of murder in Iraq. While Finlay informs Reacher that he might have found Joe's car. In addition, he also learned that Paul was not working with the bank for the past several months. As the 3 of them reach the location of a burnt car, Reacher is sure that it was rented by his brother. He is able to get the VIN number for the car, hoping it will help them to know more. Reacher informs them about the 2 dead mercenaries, as well as Spivey. He tells them that they need to dispose of their bodies, or else the state police might get involved, and they won't be able to find the truth. Roscoe agrees to help, but seeks clarity from Reacher about him being accused of murder. Reacher tells her that he killed 3 civilians in Iraq, as they came after him, since he threatened them for assaulting a group of young boys. Later, Roscoe and Reacher dump the bodies at the airport, and they check in at a local hotel, and end up getting intimate. They also receive a call from Molly Beth, who compiled all that she can about the case Joe was working on, and they decided to meet at a railway station. The next day, they visit Jobling's parents, the trucker whose body they found. His parents knew nothing about their son's work, but gave them the address of his ex-wife. Roscoe and Reacher, talking with his ex-wife, learn that he was earning far more than an average trucker, and thus she knew he was involved in something shady. She shows him the empty AC boxes, and tells them that she thinks he was stealing cargo. As they return, Reacher shares his theory, and believes that Jobling was stealing counterfeit cash. Picard, getting the alias used to book the car which they found, was able to track it to a motel, where Joe might be staying, and he shares the address with Roscoe and Reacher. As they reach the motel, they learn that 2 men were there earlier, asking for the same man. Reacher, knowing that the men who came would not have found anything, as his brother would not keep important information at an obvious place, finds a paper with information on it. As they find the information, they are attacked, but Reacher and Roscoe are able to take care of the men who came after them. The page they found had 3 mystery numbers, along with Paul's number. It also mentions Jobling's garage and Gary's Kleiner files. In order to know about the numbers, they decided to call them. 2 of the numbers belonged to economics professors, and both of them were out of the country for 3 days, while the third was from Memphis EPA office. Not sure what any of it means, Reacher reaches out to one of his former investigator, and gives her the Memphis leads to look into. While they go to meet Molly Beth. Molly arrives at the station, but before they could meet, someone kills her, and takes all of Joe's files. Having no leads for now, they return back. Being back, Reacher sees Roscoe's car being vandalized, and knowing it to be the work of KJ, he confronts him, and slaps him. But before it could escalate, Kleiner stops his son. He also is not interested in pressing charges, and Reacher tells Finlay that he is not pressing charges, as it will allow him to ask for his financials and discovery. Mayor Teal, being under Kleiner's thumb, fires Roscoe for her subpar police work. Reacher, thinking about the notes his brother left, realizes that Gary left his prized Desert Eagle with Roscoe, and as he goes through the box, he finds a hidden key. Knowing that Gary frequented Barbara Mosley, they go to him, and he hands over Gary's trunk to them. Going through his research and records, confirms their suspicions, and they now know that Margrave is the heart of Kleiner's counterfeiting operation, but all the evidence is circumstantial. They also figure out that Kleiner chose Margrave, as it provided them the best access to South America, with minimal oversight. In addition, they are getting desperate, as the blockade of the border might have hindered their operation. Seeing Gary's research, Roscoe believes that his former boss might not have died in an accident, but may indeed have been murdered. Reacher receives a message from his former colleague, whom he asked to help, and she wants to meet to tell him what she found. Reacher goes to meet Neagley, and learns from her that the EPA agent his brother was looking into was apparently killed in a robbery gone wrong. But she believes it was a cover-up. She also found that the dead EPA agent was looking into the pollution of a river, but all his records were gone, though she found out that the company that was responsible for the pollution, wrapped up all its operations, was a subsidiary of Kleiner Industries. She also informs him that the EPA agent who got killed was beaten post-mortem, and since Joe was killed in the same manner, Reacher thinks it's the same killer. They get a lead on the killer, with help from one of Neagley's cop friends, but his partner was pressured to kill all of them, as his family is being threatened. But Neagley and Reacher are able to escape. Roscoe, on the other hand, goes to the corner, and asks him to look into his former boss's record. Going through it, she finds that the head wound on his boss's head comes from something shaped like a diamond. Seeing the same, Roscoe knows the weapon to be Mayor Teal's stick. Roscoe, being furious, goes into the police station, and attacks the mayor. Finlay is able to get her out, and tells her that the mayor will now be coming after her. Thus, he sends her to guard Paul's family, and relieve Picard. Finlay knowing that they have no evidence, decides to break into Kleiner's office, but being there, he finds that all the files are gone, while Kleiner has also been killed. Reacher, realizing that a change in leadership might force them to make an error, decides to stake out the Kleiner's factory with Finlay. During the stakeout, he learns that Finlay is not divorced, but lost his wife Sharon because of a long illness. Thus he wanted to get away from the city, and moved here. Finlay and Reacher follow one of Kleiner's trucks, and they break into it, but the truck turned out to be empty. Having another dead end, Reacher reaches back to the professors, who were out of the country, but he learns that one of them had been killed in a robbery, while the other was still alive. Reacher instructs the professor to go to a police station. While Roscoe, being with Paul's family, is attacked by two men. Roscoe is able to get them to safety, and as she talks with Charlie, she learns that Charlie knows that Paul was involved with criminals, and was laundering money for them. She tells her how Paul was tricked into doing the same at first, and later was forced to watch a man being crucified, to ensure his loyalty and continuous support. Later, Picard reaches them, and they move out with him. While Reacher reaches New York, and meets with the professor. The professor tells him that she was helping his brother to understand counterfeited bills being used outside the US. Talking with her, Reacher realizes that they were wrong in their theory, as counterfeited bills are not being shipped in, but instead being shipped out to Venezuela. Reacher arranges for the professor's safety in the police station, and on his way back, kills the assassin who came after him. Back in Margrave, Officer Stevenson and his pregnant wife are murdered by a hit squad. Reacher, being back, tells Finlay that the trickiest part of making a counterfeit bill is getting the paper right, and his brother made sure that it was locked properly in the US. So he is not sure how Kleiners are making the counterfeit currency. As they reach Officer Stevenson, they realize that he was not involved, but since they could not get to any one of them, they believed him to be helping them, thus they tortured him for information. As they were leaving, Mayor Teal fires Finlay for not being able to solve the murders. Reacher, now being sure that Officer Baker is one of the corrupt cops, confides in him, and tells him that he will be searching Paul's house in the night. In the night, the hit squad comes to Paul's house to take care of Reacher, unaware that it was them who are being hunted. Reacher takes them all out, and ends the entire hit squad, including Kleiner's nephew Dawson. As he was cleaning up, he realizes that they were recycling the paper. He informs Roscoe that Paul, using his skills, was getting $1 bills in the operation, and using some type of chemicals, they were washing the ink, and printing $100 bills. In addition, the chemical waste which was produced, destroyed the previous town's river, which the EPA agent was investigating. Thus, to avoid the same mistake, they are now using animal feed, to turn liquid into solid, and disposing of waste by burying it in the ground. Roscoe shares what they have learned so far with Picard. While Reacher and Finlay, realizing that his brother's message of going to Jobling's garage was indeed for his parents' house, visit them. Being there, they find the AC boxes, and it was filled with counterfeited bills. Now having the proof of their theory, they decided to regroup and meet in Margrave. Reacher, on his way back, learns from Neagley that the FBI agent who closed the EPA agent's case died a few years back, but was living well above his means, and she is planning to look into his partner, and as Reacher reaches Margrave, he finds that his partner was Picard. Picard, KJ, and the mayor were waiting for him. They show him a live stream of Roscoe, and tell him to find Paul, and bring him to them, if they want to see any of the girls alive. KJ also confesses to him that he was the one who killed his brother, and his own father, as he was getting weak. Picard goes with Reacher to look for Paul, while Finlay is taken in by Officer Blake. Reacher tricks Picard into stopping to fix a tire, and shoots at him, forcing Picard to get away. Later he finds Paul. Paul tells him that he was working with Joe and Jobling to stop Kleiner's operation. Reacher returns back to Margrave, and rams a pickup truck through the police station, killing Blake and saving Finlay. Neagley also arrives, and they gather weapons from the police station, as they prepare to go after KJ. At Kleiner's factory, they set fire to cause distraction, and go in guns blazing. Paul is able to get his family out, while Picard attacks Finlay, but Finlay kills him using a hydraulic press. Roscoe, on the other hand, subdues and handcuffs Teal, but as he goes for his gun, Roscoe kills him. Reacher also avenges his brother by taking out KJ. and as he gets out, a flashback reveals how their mother died in Paris after a long illness. Their mother tells him and his brother that she and their father always knew that he was the one who attacked the boy, while his brother covered for him. But they knew they were not wrong, so they never said anything to them. She then reminds Joe that he doesn't need to solve all the world's problems, as solving some is more than enough. And reminds Reacher that with him having the strength of 3 men, he should always do the right thing. She also gives Reacher his grandfather's medal. In the present, Reacher gets ready to leave Margrave. Roscoe gives him her number and tells him to call whenever he wants. While Reacher suggests to her that she should run for mayor now, as the position is open. Finlay decides to move back to Boston to restart his life again, but before leaving, he buys their famous local pie for Reacher. As the season ends, we see Reacher burying his grandfather's medal, where Joe died, and walking out of Margrave, looking for a ride to continue exploring the country. Thanks for watching. And if you liked it, please subscribe.